Hello, I'm Matt, and welcome to the Stanley Parable. I have tried to record this game before, but the audio was fairly terrible. So, I'm going to try again. Right, let's go. The end is never the end is never the end is never the end is never the end is never. Okay. Loading. The end is never the end is never. This game is basically an infinitive loop. Like, it just goes round and round. There's like a bazillion endings or something like that.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-ripping, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Oh, so it's me now, is it? Yeah, it is. Right. It's your standard WASD to move around. And there are some achievements in this game which I have had a go at. Like, they are funny. This is an incredible game. I mean,
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Meeting room, simply missed a memo. Can you click on the computer switch?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
And click on this computer. Turned it off. Just copy it right now. I'm gonna see if I can turn all the computers off in the building. The ones I can access anyway. So that one. That one's off. That one's off. That one's on. Oh dear.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Which one do we go through? Left or right? I'm gonna call it as left, because I've got something to show you. Something funny.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
This room, I mean, R.I.P. Franz. Oh dear. No, Franz, that is, isn't it? Oh dear. Do not alter with consulting the whiteboard manager. Whiteboard manager? Let's have a look. Synergize. Hire someone to synergize papers. Papers are too synergized. Fire paper guy. Hire somebody to fire the paper synergizing guy. Here, move my desk. Please keep the targets on the topic of blur. Not cost efficient. Just standardized graphs to 40x wide. Push for funding for R&D of new coffee machine.
Stanley just stood there doing nothing at all. He seems to think I have nothing better to do with my time than to sit around and describe every fascinating little detail of his inability to do anything. This is why Stanley and I are on such good terms.
Wow. Employees 417, 405, 416, 491, 431, and Jim. Jim. Who's Jim? Tomorrow, complete today's unfinished agenda items. Write next day's agenda. Reflect. The future was yesterday. Tomorrow is now. That is brilliant. Everyone is... Okay. Does that say something about the broom closet? Hang on a sec. Get Chris out the broom closet. Ongoing. Now, there is a bit of a... There's actually a storyline to the broom closet, so... I'll show you it.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Keep listening.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
There is. There's all this stuff on the shelves.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet LA.
Well, I'm not running around.
Are you really still in the broom closet?
Yes.
Standing around doing nothing? Why?
I don't know.
Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
I don't know why I'm in the broom closet. Probably because I want to show YouTube the
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right?
Yes.
If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me, because literally, this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever.
Oh, it clearly is.
I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you, this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Oh dear.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead.
Wait, what?
You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose.
Good luck with that.
Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Good luck with saying all that. I've got headphones on, so nobody's gonna hear you. Right, let's step out in the hallway. Listen to what he says. It's very funny. No, it's not.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Oh dear. Back in!
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Right, that's all from him. From that little bit, let's go.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Actually,
office.
no, I won't go downstairs. That's long and boring. And I mean, I get dizzy, so it's going around in circles. Can I open this door yet? No, I can't. I wonder why my frame rate's dropped.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
I already know the code to this.
Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
This is why.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Right, I've shown you the broom closet ending, I think it's called. Now for the beat the game ending.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Oh, I'm glad that didn't go off while I was in the lift. Put it that way. I'm not fond of lifts.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Right, that leads down to your death. I'll show you that in the next video. First off, I'm going to show you this.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
So a lot of TV screens. I'll be able to point out, like, we're number 427, so I'll be able to point out Stanley's little office.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers, the lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Pretty impressive, isn't it? I mean, I'm impressed by it. That dude over there's been fired. Somebody else got fired. There. See that circle up there? That's our way out of here.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Come here, mouse. Thank you. It's got me mouse stuck on
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
That is a huge screen. I want it. I want that in my bedroom. That's massive. It's like a 90-inch TV. It's like a 2,000-inch TV or something like that. System power. Alright, I'm going to do this ending where you switch it off. Because you go... Which way is it? I don't know. Somewhere. Anyway.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
It's a huge door. Oh, I wanted to see if I could see.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
That's the beat the game ending of the Stanley Parable. Thank you very, very, very much for watching, and ta-da.